We're back in Ruka for the last race of the day, the men's 15-kilometre classic, the last of their Ruka triple. And Martin Jonsrud Sundby has not only the job of securing his place at the top of the World Cup standings, but also trying to make sure that Norway get the clean sweep here in Ruka, with 6 wins out of 6 on the cross-country trails. Well, for those of you who want to know where we are, up the north of Finland, not so far from the Arctic Circle, not so far from the Russian border. A couple of flights, most of the teams flying in via Helsinki and then up to Kuusamo Airport, and then 40 minutes drive maximum to Ruka and the venue. Now we'll just update you on what happened yesterday, just in case you missed it a little earlier on. In the men's 10-kilometre in the freestyle. An interesting race, Mike, but again the Norwegians dominant.
Yeah, very much dominant, the Norwegians, and of course starting in all 4 in the first 4 today.
Alex Harvey put up a good performance though for Canada, a man who surely must be a potential winner of the overall if he can just get a few more points in the sprinting. He'll have to win points in sprinting if he's going to do well, but he set the pace yesterday and a pretty stiff time as well, 21:16. Dario Cologna was close, but not close enough. Less than half a second outside, but 2 races, Cologna starting to come back to form. Harvey must have thought at that time that he had a chance of winning, but he did also know that Martin Jonsrud Sundby was out on the tracks, and Sundby has looked devastating in pre-season racing.
He certainly has done, and he was quite lucky taking his bib number 54. Only Northug was behind him, but Northug wasn't able to challenge.
But when you say lucky, lucky in terms of getting splits on all the others, not so lucky in terms of track conditions, because it got tougher and tougher as the day went on.
It did. The track broke up, and today that's not a factor. All the big names, the start of the field starting quite close, 7 athletes within 30 seconds.
And what a great start to the season for Andrew Musgrave. Andy Musgrave of Great Britain comes from Huntly, of course, up in Scotland, not so far from Aberdeen. A 13th place in the first distance race of the year. Brilliant performance by him. Congratulations. Well done to Roy Young. Obviously got the team in good shape for the start of the season. We'll hope to see them doing similar things later on. Well, we've been a little light on fans this weekend. The weather has played a major part. It's disrupted the jumping programme, as I'm sure all jumping fans are well aware of. Nordic Combined, they've had 2 successive days of cancellations, so we're going to have to wait and see whether Erik Frenzel is still on World Cup winning form. And they all head to Lillehammer next, so it won't be long before they're in action. But that, of course, depends on the weather in Lillehammer. That can be prone to a few storms. And judging by the UK, there's plenty of wind around. So we may have issues in the early part of the season. Here's the start list for today. Sundby with that 14-second lead over Finnhagen Krogh of Norway. Glursen, I don't think, will be a threat to Sundby. Petter Northug certainly could be, but he's going to have to bridge that gap. Adrian Backscheider, I should say. There's Andy Musgrave, starting number 23. Don't forget that the start positions today are determined by your sprint result and the sprint bonuses and yesterday's race, and that's why Andy Musgrave is not starting number 13 but starts outside the top 20. Classic, not his favourite technique, Mike, but has he managed to improve the Classic and got it closer to the level that he's got in skating?
He has, I think, but he lost so much this summer with glandular fever. He lost a lot of that important period where you work on your skills, work on your techniques, and so he has improved without a doubt. His engine is bigger, better, faster, stronger. We'll have to see today how it looks. That's my take on it.
He's obviously in good shape, but you have a shorter summer due to illness. You tend to have a shorter winter season of form as a result of that. So great to see him in such good shape. How can we expect that all the way through the season, or do you think we're bound to see a fall away at some stage?
Well, there's the issue. When you haven't done your big mileage of base training, it can affect it, can bring you up into form for a short period, then you'll drop down, but you can bring it back up again. I often think as well, the negative, you're missing 2 or 3 months of training, but then it's enforced rest. You get real recovery and a change of mindset from continually training every day.
Now, at this stage, I'd usually ask you who you think's going to win, but I think it's hard to look past Sundby. But what I want to know from you, Mike, is what tactics you would employ if you were Martin Jonsrud Sundby. You've got a 14-second lead at the start, and you've got a pack of hungry skiers behind you. Do you go for it, or do you take the first 5Ks easy and join the pack?
I think he will have looked at this, he'll analyse the track, and he'll say, I have to go for it, because you've got Dario Colonia, Alex Harvey, Petter Northug all starting within 1 second of each other, and surely they're going to try so hard to pull him back in.
I think you may be right there. And also he's been watching Therese Johaug. Maybe she has shown the way to do it with her victory earlier today. So a very good morning and welcome to Ruka, hosting the Nordic Opening yet again, the Ruka Triple, which is such a popular stage of the tour, a mini tour at this stage. Only a couple of days left of the Swedish moustaches, I suspect. They'll be back to their clean-shaven selves when we meet again in Lillehammer for next weekend's competitions. And while this race is underway, we'll let you know what the programme is there. Sundby now starts off 15,000 metres to go. He is not starting slowly. Patrick, that's the quickest start we've ever seen from Sundby.
That's our answer to his strategy today. He wants to keep that lead.
Finn-Hagen Krok, the world's best sprinter last year, starting 2, just ahead of Anders Klorusen, his teammate. And it's Norway, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and arguably the best of the lot, starting number 4, Petter Northug on the right of the screen. And Northug is going to jump in behind Dario Colonia, who he hopes will tow him up to the front of the field. He's always thinking, and you've got to love that about him.
He's a master tactician, and he'll conserve his energy. He's the pure hunter-killer.
Biligjanin starting for Russia. Churychev also going for Russia in the first 20. Ustiakov is there starting 14, and Ustiakov goes down. Now that's going to cost him some valuable time, and he's in all sorts of trouble there as he tries to find his way. I don't think he broke anything. There goes Andy Musgrave, wearing 23.
Oh, well, he has. He's burst half his ski pole. He needs his coaches. There they are. Well, that's cost him a huge amount.
Good work. We were talking about that during the women's race, and incidentally, if you were with us during the women's race and you saw Heidi Weng's misfortune, where she went the wrong way, or actually she miscounted the laps and finished on the 3rd instead of the 4th, it looks as though she's been reinstated. She's finished 9th instead of a potential 2nd, but she hasn't lost the points and she hasn't lost her position in the overall World Cup. Essential in terms of her challenge for the trophy this year.
It is, and it seems as if the jury, there was certainly no advantage gained. She probably cost herself 40 seconds, so they must have taken that into account and kept her in the race.
Yeah, she travelled further than everyone else, so they can't claim that she had an advantage. There may well be protests. I know if it was a Swede who'd made that mistake, I'm absolutely certain the Norwegians would put in a protest. Now, Sundby, is he still going hell for leather? Well, he's climbing well, and Finn-Hagen Krok looks as though he's just easing up a little bit, and Ustiakov gets his 2nd pole. That's because the one he was given in the stadium was 5 centimetres shorter than the one that he usually uses. Great teamwork from the Russians.
And you know what? I think they'll still be rippling out round the track. The radios will be crackling, saying, is it the right pole? Do we need to get another? And so the communications, you can see the Russian coach running down the track. Maybe that 2nd pole still isn't the right length.
Musgrave looks to have made a couple of places in the early start. What he really needs to do is make contact with this group, being led by Dario Colonia at the moment. Looking for Petter Northug. There he is, number 4, slipping his way up the hill. Nothing unusual with that. He'll try and benefit from slightly slippier skis on the flats and the downhills. It's a brave man who goes out with less wax than you actually need to get the full traction.
It is, and I thought you were alluding there to the brave man Sundby opening up the gap. It was 14 seconds. Now he's got to have taken it to, what, 21 seconds. Of course, the big chasers are Colonia, Northug and Harvey, I think. but a lonely race for Sumbi, and a almost suicidal strategy if you get it wrong, if you go too hard in this first quarter of the race.
Well, here's the danger man. Dario Colonia now 31 seconds behind, having started 25, so a very positive start. Northug was 24, he's now 34, but he's playing a tactical game as always. Martin Johansson, of Sweden, started number 7, so holding his position but losing time to the race leader. And this is a bit of a deja vu, really, isn't it, Mike? Absolutely identical tactics to those we saw from Therese Johaug.
Very much. The only athlete so far going faster than Sundby is Di Fabiani from Italy. He's pulled back 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's had some great classic results over the years, and he's every right to be confident that he can do something today.
Yes, he had. And remember that win that he had at 21-year-old in Lati, 15-kilometre classical, exactly this race, and nobody expected it. He didn't expect it himself, but he is a class act, and surely he's going to lead Italy to... They've been off the boil, haven't they, for a number of years. Surely he's going to help lift them back to where they used to be. Well, Muzzy has moved from 23rd up to 17th. He's 57 seconds behind. He started 58 behind, so he's taken 1 second back off Sundby.
6 laps in all, and you were saying you thought Therese Johaug would get ahead and then just control the pace. She just got faster and faster as the race went on. Sumbi, though, with 6 laps, it's a tough one. He can afford to go hard on the first, but the advantage for him of 6 laps is every time he comes through the stadium, he can see exactly where he is relative to everyone else, and he can just match them. And it's rather like match racing in sailing. That's surely what his tactic has to be.
I think so, but he's put a huge amount of effort in, Patrick, to separate himself even further in this first lap, because, let's be honest, they're not going slow. They're not on a cruise out there. They're still trying to keep their margins down to this man.
Easier in a group than alone, but difficult to know exactly what the percentages are. The group will go faster on the downhill, they'll go faster on the flat, or those behind will get some help in terms of slipstreaming. It won't make a lot of difference on the uphill, and you spend 70% of your time when you're cross-country skiing going uphill.
You do. I wonder if the coaches have briefed all their athletes, hey, remember, it's 6 times around this 2.5 kilometre lap. We saw a mistake, an error in the women's race. Surely that can't happen in this race.
Finn Hagen-Krok, Mike, he's got a 10-second advantage over the second group. Would he be advised to drop back and try and get some help from the others?
I think so. I think they will absorb him anyway, so he's just he's just waiting for that to happen, I think. But I'm amazed this chasing group aren't pushing a little harder. It's 37 seconds behind from 24.
Guess who's doing the work in the third group? Andrew Musgrave. He's not shy, is he?
Good lad.
Here he is, number 23, leading the way, trying to bridge that gap between the third and the second. It's a big ask because there's quite a time margin. '27 going through. Jonas Dobler of Germany. Lots of comments about the German suit, and Mike mentioned it yesterday, but at least you can pick it out. That's for a coach, that's pretty vital. Last year, so many of the teams had red suits that you just didn't know who was who. Well, there's the stadium, the jump to the left of this picture, the hotel up to the hill on the left. It's a resort that is getting bigger and bigger. I remember the first time we came up here, Mike, there was a stadium and a hotel, and that was it.
Yeah, they really are opening up the area. It is a great winter destination. A little bit of alpine skiing, all these tracks. There's Krok. Well, he's still trying hard to keep the pack away. Surely Dario Colonia is going to make a move soon. Krok's one of those men who comes from the north of Norway. Those of you who remember Vegard Ulvang, who came from Kirkenes, Krok comes from a place called Alta, which is, 100 kilometres southwest of Nordkapp itself. Famous for its salmon fishing until they dam the river. Look at the composure within Sundby's skiing technique. There must be an element of fear as well, Patrick, when you've got the rest of the world really wanting to close the gap. And there's still a long way to go. Only 8 minutes gone. It's going to be, what, 34, 36-minute race.
He was saying he wasn't quite certain about this lead-off yesterday in the interview, but surely this is where his experience from the Tour de Ski last year, the last 2 seasons, where he has led off these mass start chasing races, surely that's absolutely vital now.
It is, and remember when he was his first Tour de Ski victory, he was starting the long race over the pass and back down into Dobiaco, and I thought the pack would close him down that day. So he has experience leading out and holding the lead.
Cologne still at the front of this group. In fact, Kroc now is, but they've pretty much swallowed up Finnhagen Kroc. Good move from Martin Johansson. He's had an impressive start to the season. Number 6 there, Alex Harvey. He's good at classic, he's good at distance, so maybe it's going to be Harvey's day, but he is totally reliant on this chase group catching Martin Jonsrud Sundby. And I just get the feel that there's the body language of that chase group is saying we're racing for second.
Look at the time. Look at how can you lose? It's unusual at this level. The pace differential there between this chasing pack and Sundby is massive. They've let 20 seconds slip already.
9 on the right-hand side. Francesco De Fabiani, Micah, you mentioned, has had a good start. He has been quick, but De Fabiani is he's lost what, 6-7 seconds to Martin Jonsrud Sundby. Still got the second fastest time out there. Here comes Andrew Musgrave now. What's his time? 1:07. And he started 23rd in 58. So actually, Musgrave is even quicker than De Fabiani.
That's brilliant. And I tell you what, he is doing all the work there now. If Muzzy can haul back the first of the chase groups, it's going to make his life a little easier. Sundby made that left-hander look easy.
Yeah, carried really good speed. Finnhagen Kroc will be the next to negotiate that turn, and actually Finnhagen Kroc is doing really well on the flats and the downhills, not so well on the uphills.
Yes, he is. Quite interesting that I saw Peter Northug doing his master technician, like playing a little chess game in his mind. He's looking back, who's around me, do we need to travel faster? I reckon the chasing pack are thinking we definitely need to travel faster now.
Emil Jonsson, number 17. Musgrave took a couple of big scalps yesterday, namely Petter Northug and also Martin Fourcade, who was well beaten by Andrew Musgrave. Fourcade a little unlucky. He started late and got the worst of the conditions. Musgrave, on the other hand, with bib number 3, was in prime position. Well, it's a great turn, that, isn't it, as they drop down and then approach the stadium. Sundby already up that final climb and into the stadium to complete lap number 2. 5 kilometres gone, 10 still to go, and well, that's not a bad time. 11:45. 11:45, still slower than Therese Johaug did over the 10Ks, over the 5K yesterday in the freestyle technique.
That's a different track though, isn't it? This is
slightly different track and different technique as well.
And different technique, but yeah, I was amazed with Johaug's times yesterday on the same track as the men. She was only about a minute behind.
De Fabiani now setting the pace. He's got Alex Harvey alongside him. Now, I remember Alex Harvey from the 50K at the World Championships in Oslo, Mike, 2011, where he took the lead in that 50 kilometre, broke away from the field. So he's not afraid, and he's certainly not lacking confidence when it comes to going alone.
He's not, and I thought that the 3, Harvey, Cologne and Northug would really make an effort, but they're losing a little more time. Well, a huge amount more time.
Well, they've lost 13 seconds, and they were right on the back of the skis of Finnhagen Kroc at halfway round the lap. So the chasing group seemed to have eased up a little, and that's going to allow group number 3 to get into contact. So the race for the minor places is growing in intensity, but it is still Martin Jonsrud Sundby of Norway who leads the way. He's through 5K with 10 to go. Out on his own, Martin Jonsrud Sundby had a look over his shoulder just a couple of minutes ago, and he had one on the last lap as well, so maybe that's an indication that he's not feeling that comfortable out there. And it can't be nice, because these guys have got not only the pleasure of their own company and the advantages of skiing in a group, but Sundby has got to be strong both physically and mentally, I think, to deal with this one, but he's not having any trouble at the moment. Sergei Turyshev there, number 10 for Russia. Nice to see that he's managed to settle in that chasing pack. Number 7 is Martin Johansson from Mora Ski Club. More of the venue, they've got one of their ski gymnasiums there, one of their sort of sporting university, and they've produced some very good skiers over the years, but better known, I suspect, for the fact that Mora is the finish of the Vasaloppet. You ever done that?
I haven't. It would be a brilliant experience. I think you have, haven't you?
92k, and it starts to hurt at about 90. It's a cracking race. Well worth trying to get. I think you have to enter about 3 years in advance.
Up to what, 15,000 people doing that race. There's Muzzy on the right-hand side, almost absorbed this first of the chasing packs. Well, there's Krogh on his own. They still haven't absorbed him, but he's beginning to look tired for me in second place.
So it's become a tactical race with the main chase group. They've let Finnhagen Krogh go for now, but I think we're going to see some fireworks when it comes to lap 5 and 6. Now let's see what the margin is. He was 14 seconds clear when he went through the stadium. He lost quite a lot of ground on this section last time, and has he lost time again? He's still over 10 clear, so he's exactly 10. So he's lost 4 seconds on the climb out of the stadium. I suspect he'll gain it back. Now, is that to do purely with the waxing for Finnhagen Krogh, or do you think he's one of these guys who has phenomenal double poling power?
I don't think it is the double poling power. I mean, he's having to, but for me, he's looking as if he's on his limit. The chasing pack, or his chasing pack, don't feel as if they're on the limit. So I think he's taking himself to a really uncomfortable place to try and hold on to that second. There he is. But you're right, he is putting in a huge amount of double poling. Not renowned as the strongest upper body.
Well, you don't win the Sprint World Cup without being very, very powerful indeed. And actually, if you go and spend time in Norway, do a few races, you'll notice how many guys and girls, even the girls now, doing races just 100% double poling. They've forgotten about the stick wax. It saves you a lot of time in the morning. You get an extra half an hour's sleep. But if you've got the strength, you're going to be quicker. If you were at the top of the FIS, would you be concerned that classic skiing was going that way?
Oh, very much. And I think Vegard Ovang he leads that technical committee, or chairman of the FIS, and he is saying, well, you know, the sport is changing. We are now really going to have to make tougher sprint courses, because let's be honest, in classic they're just going to double pole it. We see that in Drammen. We see that on so many courses within the season. So they really are having to look at venues which can make a much steeper and more testing terrain, so that we're keeping hold of the traditional classic technique.
Halfway stage for Martin Jonsrud Sundby. Just to finish on that note, Mike, it's not really an issue on World Cup courses, because the terrain is so tough that you're actually slower if you try and double pole it. It will be the case in sprint races that they need to steepen up the climbs. I don't have a problem with that. The problem for me comes in the Loppet races now, where they just about double pole all of them. And does that mean they've got to reroute them to take them directly up the hill rather than up the forest track?
It's an interesting one. I think when you're looking at a 90-kilometre race or a 60-kilometre race, you have to use the terrain. An A to B race, it's difficult to get the amount of people in these big Loppet races through the forest, up steeper hills. You have to use the terrain, I think, and they will just double pull it. It is the faster method on icy tracks like this, if the terrain is easy.
Well, it'll be interesting to know what you feel out there. Do stay in touch. We'll use our biathlon boys at yahoo.com, and we'll stay in touch throughout the season. Any comments welcome, any criticism we'll shake it off. Yeah, it's always nice to hear. If you've got any questions, throw them our way, and we'll do our best to answer them. So the top 10 through. Vilijanin is there. Keep your eye out for the name of Andrew Musgrave. Will be coming through soon. Look at the time. There he is, right in behind Petter Northug. Why not? Why not learn off the best tactician out there? He's in 18th position at the moment, 117 down, but he is only a few seconds off the top 10.
16 people, 17 people in that chasing pack within 4 seconds of each other.
Nukla for Italy, 32. De Fabiani still the best placed of the Italian skiers. In terms of going backwards, Mike, we weren't expecting Glurason to catch Sundby, but he's still hanging on.
He is. He's well from third. He's in 7th position, but
he's in that chase group.
16, 17 man chasing pack. Just trying to find out how the locals are getting on. The Finns further down. Pensonen from 22. Bib start number to 27.
Well, the man we need to point out, who we haven't mentioned so far, is Didrik Tonseth of Norway. He's come up into the front of that chase group, actually, having started outside the top 10. So he's made very good gains indeed. He started 45 seconds behind, but that's irrelevant, really, with Sundby streaks ahead at the moment. But he has improved his position dramatically, and Tonseth, a good classic skier. Whether he's going to have anything left for the sprint at the end, we will see. It's going to be a bit like the sprint final coming up that home straight, fighting it out, we assume, for second place. Again, Sundby having a good look. In fact, that was Finn-Hagen Krok having a look over his shoulder. I think he'll be surprised because he could have felt the hot air of Harvey's breath on his neck 2 laps ago.
It's quite amazing. I can't understand that we have rarely seen a race unfold like this, over half distance, and the chasing pack are not chasing. They're keeping steady. Of course, the last quarter of the race is where the fireworks begin to happen, and I think that's what Sundby has done. He's gone very hard early on, and he must have thought, I'll get a massive cushion and I can control the race. If I maintain some energy, but control the race, and he'll back off in the last 5Ks.
Tonseth still 10 seconds clear when we last saw him, maybe slightly less than that going through this split point. But I can't help feeling, Mike, that when this chase group get winded up, Tonseth, Finn-Hagen Krok is going to get blown away. And I wonder whether he would have been advised earlier on to sit back. He's got that cushion that's not really a cushion, 10 seconds. It's not comfortable, is it?
It's not. There's Muzzy still in there. His skis beginning to look like they're slipping there on this section. This is the difficult section, very wet out here in the north end of the course. Using his double poling power.
Alongside him, number 26, and that's Danny Rickardson, a tall figure from Sweden who's had a very distinguished career. But the Swedes at the moment are more than 1 step behind the Norwegians. That's been the great rivalry over the years. The 1980s was really all about Sweden, and then 1990s Bjorn Dali and co, Ulvang, Norwegians took control, and they really haven't let their grip go since then.
They haven't. Well, the Italians sprinkled there within the 90s, didn't they? Early 2000s, they were quite good. And Passini hopefully is going to take them back to former glory.
The Austrians as well, when the World Championships were in Ramsau. That's another questionable World Championships, and Lahti, what was Lahti, 2001? And of course the World Championships going back to Lahti for the first time since that big doping scandal in 2001.
That was a shocker, wasn't it? What was it? All 5 of the men's team, or 5 out of 7 of the men's team were banned from that moment onwards.
Well, I don't think Finland have really recovered since then. They lost a lot of financial backing on that occasion, and a lot of respect as well. It would be nice if next season's World Championships were a return to Finnish greatness in terms of the Nordic sports.
Well, it's really picked up now, Patrick. Sundby still clear at the front. Krok's comfortable in second, but there's a real surge on now to make things happen. A splinter group of 3. And Colonia, I'm surprised, didn't go with this. Well, he couldn't. His skis weren't working well enough up the steep rise, so we've got a break of 3.
Just checking who's leading that. Is that Tonseth still in there for Norway, who's got bib 12? Johansson is definitely there. And De Fabiani is there. Alex Harvey and Dario Colonia have dropped away. So it's a positive move as Sundby goes through 10k. 5 kilometres to go for him. Finn Hagen Krok surely is going to get caught by that group of 3. And whether he can hang on to the back of them, I don't know. But if he does, he's going to get himself into a good position. It is Tonseth, Mike. Didrik Tonseth doing very good work indeed. He's the one who lit the fuse paper. De Fabiani looks very comfortable in the classic style. 7th in Val di Fiemme last year it was actually a mass start classic race, but he showed that he can not only do the classic and stay with the best, but he showed that he's got a good sprint getting in 7th, only 3 seconds off the winner on that occasion.
This is really heating up with 2 laps, still 2 laps to go. There's still a lot of tactics still to unfold yet. This is the first attempt to make some impression on Finn Hagen Krok. And they are making an impression. Surely they're going to close him down soon.
10 seconds last time around. I think that gap's been cut by a couple of seconds. It has. So only 6 seconds clear now, Finn Hagen Krok. But he's still got that 10-second margin over the main chasing group. Musgrave up into the top 20, 1:16 behind now. Right behind Petter Northug, as he has been for the last 2.5 kilometres. Nothing's changed at the front, and they've gone through the 10-kilometre mark a few minutes ago. The margin now between first and second is approaching the minute on around 56, 57 seconds for Martin Jonsrud Sundby. Finn Hagen Krok looks a little more tired every time he comes through this stage, but he's still got second place. But I don't think it's long before his teammate Tonseth is going to draw alongside him. And sadly for Krok, he has brought Francesco De Fabiani with him as well.
I think the form that Tonseth is showing, Patrick, remember we always see him performing well in Lillehammer. He knows it so well, he lives there, and so now with his good performance today, he must be thinking, or at the end of this race, he'll be thinking about next week. And a real chance, he's done so well.
Lap number 5 of 6. Sundby, of course, the overall World Cup winner in 2014 and 2015, and he's leading the way at the moment for this season. Is he going to make it 3 in a row? And if he wins 3 in a row, does that put him up with the likes of Gunde Svan, the real greats?
Yes, it does, and there's only 2 others who have done that 3 in a row, and it's the other one's Dali, isn't it? Dali. I think it really does. It shouldn't be. He doesn't fit the aura, the name of Petter Northug, who can cut it at sprinting, at 50, at every distance going and every tactic going. There's Jönsson. I thought he had slipped further back in the group, but he's still doing well for an out-and-out sprinter. So yes, I think Sundby, the name Sundby is up there with Svan and Dali, the great names of cross-country.
But when you compare the number of wins that Sundby has had to Svan and Dali, it pales into insignificance. He's not even in double figures yet. He will be by the end of today, but hasn't been previously.
That is very true, but the world of cross-country skiing has changed, and then you get the likes of the Tour de Ski, where Sundby has this great mindset where for over a 11-day period, 10-day period, he can keep his focus going and cut it quite well in sprinting as well as the long distance, and that's where he takes a lot of points each season.
Musgrave back into the top 16 now. He started 23rd, remember, Musgrave, so he's done very well, and this is going to be, Mike, if he stays in the top 20, I think I'm right in saying this will be his best ever classic race, which is a phenomenal effort. Remember, classic not his favoured style. He's brilliant technician when it comes to the freestyle. But that's the one he learnt as a kid, and it's taken just a little bit longer to get to grips and develop the strength for the classic.
I think classic, it's teaching the body these movements, and I think like the Norwegians, yes, they ski to school, they ski within their school curriculum almost. They go out skiing in the nature as all Norwegians do, and it's a tough one to learn. I think slightly tougher when you haven't been doing that all of your life for say 100 days a year. In these Scandinavian countries. Well, Norway, Sweden, you've got those conditions where the kids can ski 100 days a year.
But the British team, not just about Andrew Musgrave. Andrew Young's produced some decent results already this season.
He's done very well. 14th in Beiterstolen in a classic race with nearly 200 Norwegians. He's down preparing for Davos sprint races now, and I think we'll see Andrew Young performing brilliantly again this season as well.
Well, just to let you know, the tour after this race, and here's the race leader coming through. 1 lap to go for Sundby now. Just a quick reminder, Lillehammer next weekend, 5th through to the 12th. Lots of action going on there with jumping and Nordic combined. Davos prior to Christmas, and Toblach as well. There'll be a 10k and a sprint in Toblach, and then the Christmas break, and then of course it's all about the Tour de Ski, which starts on New Year's Day, and that should be a cracking race. Full Tour de Ski this year because there are no World Championships.
It'll be brilliant. What do you think? Can Northug do it for the first time? He's always there on the final day, second, third, always, but he doesn't cope well in the final
Not
climb.
a chance. As long as the Alpchemise race remains in the Tour de Ski, Petter Northug will not win it.
He might prove you wrong this year.
There are plenty of others who are in the same boat, Mike. It takes an extraordinary beast to climb that well. Why do you think Therese Johaug has done so well over the last couple of seasons?
It's a huge factor. 9 kilometres and 5 of it practically up a downhill alpine ski slope.
So now you see the marker, and Tonseth, who started 12, has gained 11 places. He's into second, and Finn Hagen Krok now is going to really struggle to stay with the pace as they pick it up on this final 2.5 kilometre loop. Here comes the third group now, effectively, and Magnificat of France. It was expecting to see a little bit better from him. Musgrave still 16th, but he's got a lot of good company there. Glorison is there, Turishev of Russia. They won't want to be beaten by a Brit, there's no doubt about that, but they're getting used to it. And I think it's hard to emphasise just how much respect Musgrave has, particularly in Norway.
He has. In Norway, he's on television. They almost see him as one of his own. Of course, he's up at the university in Trondheim, where he has been since, the age of 18. And representing the club there and racing alongside Sundby in the Norwegian National Championships as the club team.
And upset them a bit in 2014 when he went and won the Sprint National Championships with an unbelievable performance on that occasion. Didn't manage to take that to Sochi, which was a shame.
And that was just before Sochi,
It was just before Sochi, so all the talk was, could Musgrave win the Olympic sprint? But preparation for the Olympics, I think, probably needs to be refined next time around.
I think so. Can you believe it? Finn Hagen Krok has held second place for 33 minutes 10 seconds and maybe a little longer, but I feel sorry for him. He's put in so much effort there. The pack were desperately trying, and it's taken this long to break him.
Well, if he's with this pack at the top of the final climb, we know that Krok is a good sprinter, and it doesn't matter who you are or how tired you are. If you've got the limb speed for sprinting, he will be effective over the last 150 metres, but he's got to be in touch over the top of that final climb into the stadium. Sundby, it doesn't matter, he'll be able to walk the last 150 metres.
I don't think we can praise Sundby enough for a man to lead the world. They're not by huge margins at the start of the day, by 13 seconds, and then to break them to a minute. He's gone out front, he's running his own race, there's no company, there's no assistance, and he's done so well today. He is on blazing form.
Now, the only thing that can save the others is a reminder that Sundby was actually disqualified a couple of weeks ago in Beiterstolen for skating round a corner. 4 skate strokes, and he was disqualified by his own officials. Well, that was a nice shot, a brief one, but a nice shot to give you some idea of just how steep this hill, and the fact that they're all in dead ground is a real reminder of the brutality of these courses as they're designed. And Finland particularly tends to have these courses. They don't have massive mountains, but what they do have is steep.
And well, the total climb today, Patrick, within this 9 miles, 15 kilometres is 500 metres of total climb.
We haven't mentioned much about Petter Northug, Mike. There he is, right on cue. He's at the back of the chase group now, starting to make his move up through the field, and he'll be starting to think in terms of finishing second, and he can see Tonseth just ahead of him, and he's getting into a very, very dangerous position. Finn Hagen Krok missing the double pole. That's an indication that he's very tired as well.
Well, I had been watching Northug, and he dropped back, as usual, he dropped back to almost 18th place, and now he's working his way back up. probably to take second place if he has anything left for the final climb.
Well, it'd be nice to see him in action. It hasn't been a bad opening weekend for Petter Northug. He made it through to the semi-finals in the sprint, and of course finished 4th yesterday.
We can't discount Legkop in blue there, just going round, the Olympic 50-kilometre champion in freestyle. He's been fighting hard, and he looks like he's setting himself up for a podium, or trying to get the podium direction. Of course, he won this a couple of years ago. Well, the 15k free it was actually then, a couple of years ago.
I love Sumbi's posture on the skis going around those corners. Knees are well bent, the feet planted firmly on the ski, and the hands dropped a little bit lower, just trying to bring that centre of gravity down. He's in what I call the ready position. Should anything go wrong, should the ski tip catch, he's ready to correct and survive a potential fall.
Look at Northug up into 3rd now. When it matters, there's only this descent left. Now here's his recovery from 36 minutes 20. About 20 seconds recovery, if you like, down this hill. And look at Sundby. Nobody chasing him, nobody anywhere near him, and he's still keeping the pace up this climb.
Norway with, 3 in the top 4 in the sprint. We could have Norway 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 at this rate. Now we're relying on De Fabiani to prevent that from happening. There's Legkop getting a little bit closer. He's starting to make his move, but he's got to make it very quickly because they're coming to the base of the final climb now. And Petter Northug has just accelerated again. Sundby on a Sunday stroll down the finish line here in Ruka. He's going to secure yet another victory. He's going to secure the Ruka triple, and he'll hold on to the yellow bib for when racing resumes in Lillehammer next weekend. Here goes Northug, number 4. De Fabiani fancies his chances of taking the great Norwegian, but it doesn't look as though that's going to happen. Stomping his way up the climb, Northug opens up a gap of 3 or 4 metres. De Fabiani is still there, and Finn Hagen-Krok is hanging on in there. He's a great sprinter, remember, but he's just met his match here.
Well, he has. Northug, the wise old fox, or older fox that he is now, he knows how it works. I think he can hold on to this one. Surely he can.
Good World Cup points for Petter Northug. And he's still a better sprinter than Sundby, so if he does some sprints this year, he might have a chance of regaining that crystal globe that Sundby wants. Krok coming in. Can Krok get the 3rd place and final place on the podium? He does, with a slightly longer leg length. He's made it a 1, 2, 3 for Norway. De Fabiani 4, Deerhaug 5, who we hardly ever mentioned, ahead of Tonseth in 6th, and Alex Harvey again outside the podium, but a great run from Alex Harvey. Looking forward to seeing him on his very best form this year.
He's certainly looked good, Patrick, and I think we will see a lot more from Harvey. Poor old De Fabiani, he was, with his 22 years of age, he didn't have the experience to be aware that there would be an attack. He didn't expect it.
Top 20 for Musgrave, 16th.
Brilliant.
So he gained 7 places today, having started 23rd, 124 off the leaders, and his starting time was 58, so 26 seconds lost to Martin Jonsrud Sundby. He is now world class when it comes to classic skiing as well as freestyle.
13th yesterday, 16th today. Andrew Musgrave is having the start to his season, the best ever in his life.
Well, hopefully there's more to come. Let's hope we see him challenging for podiums at some stage this season. Finn Hagen-Krok, hats off to him. He had to work harder than anyone else today, no doubt about it, on his own for so much of the race. And even when the crowd caught him, he managed to hold on and clinch that last podium place.
And the psychology, when the pack caught him at 33 minutes, the race only was 37 minutes long. He didn't give up, he didn't give in. We felt that he was blown away on the final climb, but he kept on trying to the line and just took De Fabiani on the line by 1/10 of a second.
37 minutes for 15k classic style. That is quick. Put the freestyle skis on and they'd be down at 31, 32.
They would, without a doubt. Very warm temperatures today, though, and the track's quite glazed, so I think proportionally they would be closer today than in other conditions, closer to the freestyle time, that is. He's got to be so happy with that. That was an outstanding performance. no fear, didn't panic. And I think it was a hard strategy to break so much, 20 seconds on the first lap of 6 laps.
Familiar pose. Is it showmanship, or is that his the optimal position for recovery?
The coaches don't like it because it's showing the rest of the kids in Norway, the thousands of developing athletes, that this is what you do, and they love them to get out of their wet, sweaty clothes straight away into warm and dry stuff. But hey, who's going to tell Perra to get up?
Yeah, go and watch kids race in Norway, and there are 7 or 8 of them lying.
Some athletes on the waxless skis there, 36, of course, that's Yaks.
Pepin, I think that might have been with the waxless ski.
Sorry, it is Pepin.
And that means that the Romanians deciding that was the less risky course to take.
And the Romanians, such a small backup team, so you know you can't have 10 guys out testing the best wax, so safe bet is go on the waxless skis.
Babikoff of Canada just getting into the top 50. Well, that wraps up the action for this weekend, and it has all been about the Norwegians. 6 races, 6 wins. You can't do better than that. Therese Johaug and Martin Jonsrud Sundby, the outstanding stars of the weekend, and they've made themselves hot favourites to win the Crystal Globe at the end of the season. It's a long, long way away, and of course the season this year ending up in North America, or Canada. Well, Sundby gets another win on the board. 10 victories, 31 podiums, and already had 2 Crystal Globes to his name. 2 in succession. Can he make it 3 out of 3? He's had the perfect possible start. Main feature is his improvement with the sprinting.
Improvement with the sprinting and his evolving freestyle skiing. It's getting better and better. And the stats aren't great. 30 wins from 168 outings, and that's because in the past his freestyle was so weak in his first 5-6 years on the world stage. Then he put that right, and he's practically untouchable.
Good race from Petter Northug as well, getting up into the top 2. He came out of nowhere on that last lap, but you have to expect nothing less from him. Well, plenty of other sport going on this weekend, and of course we have the start of the Biathlon Tour. Östersund hosting the opening round of the biathlon races, as it has done for the last 4 or 5 seasons. And we start with the mixed relays, which has become a tradition as well. Quite a few big names missing from last year, particularly on the women's tour. Martin Fourcade will share his time between cross-country and biathlon, but after yesterday, it might be more biathlon than cross-country.
It is. He only wanted to test himself out this weekend in Finland, see how it works in cross-country.
All right, Martin, for the 6th time in a row, you have won a tour, your 3rd time here in Ruka, or sorry, Lillehammer last year, but yeah, how was it? You must love to start the season this strong.
Yeah, for sure, I have to love to. Be in good shape and have good skis and good team effort. If you see the results today, it's quite good for the Norwegians, so yeah, I'm really happy. I have had a good weekend here, maybe especially in the prologue in the Sprint Classic that was a good day for me, and the rest of the weekend has been good as well, so yeah, I'm really happy for sure.
We could only see it a little bit on TV, but it looked like the one downhill coming back was quite fast. How were the conditions?
Yeah, it was really fast, and the turn in the bottom is sketchy, so it was like, oh, am I going to make it every time down there? But the 6th time I knew that, yeah, it went well this year also, so yeah, it was good, but I had a bit tough opening today, so the first 2 laps was really fast, and then I really got to feel the pace, so I tried to just maintain pace the last 3 laps.
Yeah, great job, and congratulations on an excellent start.
Thank you very much.
Well, it certainly was. And when he refers to the Norwegians, not only did they get the top 3, they got number 5 and 6 as well. And for good measure, they got 9 and 10. So what's that? 7 Norwegians in the top 10. That's what you call world domination. Well done, though, to Francesco De Fabiani getting 4th place. And nice to see the Russians up there. Andy Musgrave on the second page of the results for the second day in succession. 13th yesterday, 16th today. Best start to the season he's ever had, and just cementing his position at the top of the British rankings. But he's miles ahead of what anyone else has ever achieved.
It's outstanding. And you're taking the best of the Finns. Niskanen, who has won World Cups, and that's at home here in Finland. I think the Finns have had a poor performance here.
Yeah, Jauho Järvi, one of the crowd favourites, down in 33rd, 2.5 minutes behind the speed they were going today. That's a full kilometre off the pace over just a 15-kilometre race, so you can work out the percentages yourself. They're pretty high, and the standard at the front, very, very tough. Paul Goldberg a little unlucky after his fall in the sprint. That really put pay to any success he was going to have this year or this weekend. But Sundby, class of his own, yet another win.